First tonight, in a dramatic change of policy, US President Donald Trump has paused higher tariffs on goods entering the United States from most countries. In a post on social media, Mr. Trump said the levies would be lowered to 10%, but taxes on Chinese imports would rise to 125%. After repeatedly denying that he was considering a halt, President Trump released a lengthy post on his Truth social network on Wednesday, saying that he had authorized a 90-day pause in tariffs. There'll still be, very broadly speaking, a universal 10% import tax for all countries. The European Union has paused its own planned retaliation against the US. So the relief of a pause, but still that ongoing underlying anxiety about what it's going to mean.
Walk us through your thinking about why you decided to put a 90-day pause.
Well, I thought that people were jumping a little bit out of line. They were getting yippy, you know? They were getting a little bit yippy, a little bit afraid. Somebody had to do what we did, and I did a 90-day pause for the people that didn't retaliate, because I told them if you retaliate, we're going to double it. And that's what I did with China, because they did retaliate. A deal's going to be made with China. A deal's going to be made with every one of them. And there'll be fair deals. I just want fair. They will be fair deals for everybody. But they weren't fair to the United States. They were sucking us dry, and you can't do that. Bond market is very tricky. I was watching it, but if you look at it now, it's beautiful. The bond market right now is beautiful. But yeah, I saw last night where people were getting a little queasy. I think everything had, well, the big move wasn't what I did today. The big move was what I did on Liberation Day.
Donald Trump. Meanwhile, global financial markets have made big gains in early trading, continuing gains in U.S. indices following President Trump's dramatic change of policy on tariffs. We heard that the markets have taken a bit of a dive now, but the rises came hours after Donald Trump paused higher tariffs on goods entering the United States for most countries. Asian markets traded sharply higher, with Japan's Nikkei up about 8% and Taiwan's stock market, which was one of the biggest losers in the last few days, up by about 10%. Other Asia-Pacific stock markets, including South Korea, Australia, Hong Kong, and even the mainline Chinese stock market, were trading higher despite the escalating tension between the world's two biggest economies. Analysts said that in terms of whether that is going to stay and whether investor sentiment will remain positive is anyone's guess.
Negotiate. We want to talk. We appreciate that you have brought this pause on so-called reciprocal tariffs, and we in turn are now pausing our proposed countermeasures in order that we have the maximum space to consult with our member states, consult with our industry, and negotiate with the US. We're ready to make deals. Let's talk.
Well, in a related development, leaders of more than 30 countries from Latin America and the Caribbean have promised to take measures to boost trade within the region in order to minimize the impact of President Trump's tariffs. Speaking at the meeting in Honduras, the Brazilian president, Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva, said that arbitrary tariffs destabilizes the international economy and causes inflation.
Today, 15 years after the first meeting of this community, we find ourselves in a very different international scenario. These are times of profound changes in world trade that affect our countries. Today more than ever is a good time to recognize that Latin America and the Caribbean require unity and solidarity from their governments and their peoples, and to strengthen greater regional integration, always within the framework of mutual respect and observance of the sovereign independence of our countries and the trade agreements that each one may have. This dream of the unity of the great fatherland is today more urgent than ever. When the old neoliberal order imposed on our countries collapses and the great powers such as the United States redraw their economic map without asking themselves which peoples are left behind, we cannot continue to walk apart when the world reorganizes itself without us, but we cannot be united either by repeating the recipes of failure.
Well, for more on all this, I'm joined now on the line from London by Chris Johnston, who's a senior editor for Business Insider. We're going to discuss all what's been happening with the markets and all the rest of them. Thank you very much indeed for joining us. What do you think made Mr. Trump change his mind? Could it be said that he's achieved what he set out to achieve using the leverage that he gained through imposing those very high tariffs on countries to get them to come back to him and negotiate a fairer playing field?
I mean, we certainly have seen a lot of countries, leading with Japan, for example, talking about, trying to enter into negotiations with the Trump administration and strike deals to avoid these tariffs. That process is going to take some time. And the pause, of course, was prompted by the chaos in the bond markets that we've seen this week. They're important because they affect the cost at which the U.S. government is able to borrow money. And as we saw in the clip earlier, Trump acknowledged the jitters in the bond markets, and that seems more than the consequences on the stock markets to have precipitated his decision to impose that 90-day pause. And as you've mentioned, we saw stock markets stage a dramatic recovery on Wednesday, but they've headed south quite sharply again on Thursday afternoon in the United States. It seems that after the White House confirmed that tariffs on China were actually 145% and not 125%, as everyone else had seemed to think was the case. That has again spooked investors, and we're seeing losses of up to 5% at the moment on the Nasdaq, which is the tech-focused index. So it's things are looking a little bit gloomy once again on stock markets, certainly.
Well, it certainly sounds that way. And beyond sort of the stock markets, I mean, I wonder what you're hearing from your colleagues in the United States about the reaction there to all of this. I mean, because there is a debate now, I understand, as to whether this was precisely Mr. Trump's strategy all along. And it does appear from what we're hearing, I don't know what your assessment is, that it's divided along political lines there.
Yeah, I mean, there is one sort of argument going around that that Trump wants to, devalue the dollar to, it's been very strong for a long time. Also, the other effect of all of this could be to force the Federal Reserve to cut interest rates. That would make borrowing cheaper for many consumers and reduce the cost of mortgages, car loans, credit card payments. It's very difficult to know exactly what Donald Trump's plan is. I think the only person that can answer that question is the president himself. And I think I think the Wall Street Journal was reporting this afternoon that there was a feeling that Trump was okay with maybe triggering a recession, but not a depression. And there's been lots of sort of theories going around today as to why he decided to blink yesterday, as many people are putting it, on with the 90-day pause. And even within his own party, the Republican Party, there's a wing of it that still thinks that Trump wants to spend too much government money, despite all of his attempts with the Doge Commission to dramatically reduce the size of the federal workforce. So there's a lot of different moving parts going on in this equation at the moment.
And of course, DOGE is the Department of Government Efficiency that's headed by Elon Musk. But it's striking, isn't it, Chris, that, I mean, how in a heartbeat, and I mean, you keep a better eye on these things than we do, in a heartbeat, when he sent out that social media message announcing these changes, I mean, the mood changed instantly, and we saw it ricocheting sort of positively on Wall Street and on markets around the world, and then suddenly it went the other way.
Yeah, I think it's just a good indication of how much the markets wanted some good news yesterday, and that is why we saw that such I think double-digit increases for some indices on Wall Street yesterday. But these losses that we've seen today have wiped out a good chunk of those gains. The big question going forward really is what is going to happen with China, and I think this is one of the reasons that we're seeing these declines again today. China has shown no sign that it wants to back down, and Trump is obviously not in any mood to do the same either. And lots of commentators are now fearing that there could be a really long, protracted trade war with China and the United States. And this will affect consumers because a lot of products that are sold by US retailers are made in China. The iPhone, for example, is predominantly assembled in China. And even if Apple wanted to decide to bring all of that manufacturing back to the United States, it would take some time, and there's also questions of whether there are enough skilled workers to be able to do that. So the outlook is very uncertain for global trade, despite Trump's decision to pause these tariffs, and it's going to be a bumpy year, I think.
Well, since you brought up China, let's talk a little bit about that. I mean, 125% imposed on the import of goods from China into America. I mean, how is President Trump justifying that move?
I mean, it's all part of his, sort of stated goal to bring manufacturing jobs back to America. He's not the only one who thinks that globalization was effectively a mistake because it took away a lot of skilled jobs from countries like America and moved them to lower wage economies like China and other Southeast Asian nations in particular. So his overall sort of aim with all of this is to change that landscape. Indeed, as I sort of outlined with the case of Apple, whether it's possible to do that is moot still. And some also say that should America really want to bring back low cost manufacturing of things like trainers and other goods like that. So it's there's a bit of an ideological tug of war going on. It was interesting, I thought, that the United Auto Workers that represents car manufacturers, or the workers in car manufacturers, support these tariffs for that very reason, that they think that will bring back more highly skilled, well-paid jobs to America. It's not entirely clear whether that is going to be the case, however.
Well, I mean, on a slightly sort of lighter note, if I could call it that, Chris, I mean, is there a sense that, I mean, there's a kind of, playground, childlike, sort of aura around Donald Trump when it comes to these things? I mean, is there a sense that, in the words of the press secretary at the White House, when President Trump is hit, he hits back much harder?
Well, of course, that is his trademark way of doing things. Sort of bang heads together and hope for the right result, even if you sort of break a a few things along the way. I mean, it's I'm glad I'm not running a company at the moment, because it would be very difficult to know exactly which way to jump. Yes, the playground analogy is rather apt, I think, for the way that he is trying to take on China, and it feels like that is the main aim for his tariffs, more so than some other countries. So where this ends, who knows? But yes, it does have that air of tit for tat, as we've seen with the ratcheting up of tariffs from America and also China. It could go. I mean, we could still see higher numbers than 145%. I guess it's a case of watch Truth Social for further updates.
I like that. Well, that's what I was going to ask you, actually, without belaboring the point. I mean, is the pressure now on President Xi of China to come forward and take part in these negotiations with Mr. Trump? I mean, because they've hinted that they're sort of open to negotiations. Or do you believe that the Chinese will sort of hit back with more levies, and this trade war between the world's two biggest economies will continue to escalate? I mean, I don't know if you've got a crystal ball there.
Well, I'd be rich if I did, I think. I think it's yeah, China is in a difficult position now, because they won't want to lose face. The comments that have been made over the last couple of days by the foreign ministry spokesperson have been quite forthright, and have called on the US, I'm sorry, to to drop all of these punitive tariffs. Neither leader is going to want to be seen to back down for first. So yeah, it's not great for the global economy, because it's not just a spat between two leaders. These decisions are affecting the entire world. So it's a very unusual situation. Well, I suppose we of course have had a previous Trump presidency where similar sort of things did happen, but it's back to the future for 2025.
Indeed, but looking at the sort of the Chinese culture and I suppose their temperament, I mean, what do you reckon is Beijing's thinking here? There doesn't seem to be much sense that they're prepared to back down, because Beijing would not want to be seen to be weak in this trade war with America.
Yes, that's the danger. Who will? What happens if China doesn't blink first? It seems unusual. It's unlikely that they are going to do that. Perhaps the end game is something like a very back channel decision, where both sides agree to something far lower than the current rates that we've seen imposed by both countries. So probably that is the best hope for the global economy. It's just a question of how long that process may take.
And just finally, Chris, and thank you very much indeed for all the time you've taken to explain all of this to our audience with so much clarity. But just give us a better sense of the US-China trade relationship and how much all this matters, not just to the two countries, but to the global economy. And you might have touched on this briefly before.
Yeah, well, I mean, as we know, China is effectively the world's workshop these days. It makes so many different products that consumers around the world buy. From anything from sort of little plastic trinkets to items that are cost thousands of dollars, like the Apple iPhone. China won't want to completely stop selling goods to the US. It's of course not the only market, but it is still the world's biggest economy. And if you were to remove that from the equation, it won't be good for China going forward. They've of course been facing problems with maintaining the sort of economic growth that they have enjoyed for many years, and other domestic pressures with their real estate market in the doldrums as well. So it could be that Trump has chosen this moment to pounce while China is weaker than it perhaps would like to be economically, which could also play a role in its decision to continue this trade war, or whether, as I suggested, that there might be some way of saving face for both sides to come out without being seen to cave into the other.
Chris, I want to thank you immensely. We really appreciate the time you've taken to talk to us. Chris Johnston is Senior Editor, Business Insider, and he was talking to me on the line there from London.